I'm Zac.
And I'm Jesse, and you're watching a Tesla Time News special report, the Chinese EV market.
When we talk about electric vehicles, we focus a lot of our attention in this country on this country, what's going on with car manufacturers like Tesla, Nissan, and GM in the EV market. It's easy to forget that China has become the largest car market in the world.
Yeah, the reason it's easy to forget this is that it's happened relatively recently. As you can see from this chart, China sold around 600,000 cars in the year 2000.
It was only a few years ago, in 2009, that China became the largest car market in the world. In 2015, automakers sold 21.1 million passenger cars in China. Compare that to the US, which in the same year sold 17.4 million.
The amount of choice in China for car buyers is hard to comprehend.
Yeah, did you know that as of last year, there were 130 passenger car brands in China?
And there are almost 1,000 different models available.
China has some of the most expensive cars in the world. For instance, a Mercedes Maybach S600 costs 2.88 million yuan, or $440,000 in China.
That same Mercedes in the US costs $190,300.
So why do high-end cars cost so much in China?
Well, to start, China has a 10% purchase tax, and then a big tax for engine capacity of 4 liters and above, which can be as much as 60% of the vehicle price.
They also have really cheap cars, like this BYD F3 sedan for just 43,000 yuan, or about $6,300.
But China has a huge pollution problem, and the Chinese government is making a big push to promote EVs.
Yeah, subsidies for EVs can be as high as 100,000 yuan or $16,000.
Not to mention the incentives that the local governments add, like free license plates and free parking.
Wait, free license plates and free parking? Surely that can't be much of an incentive.
Well, considering that many provinces in China, a license plate can cost as much as $10,000, and that parking in many cities can be almost non-existent, I'd say it's a pretty huge incentive for Chinese car buyers to buy an EV.
Wait, what? A license plate can cost $10,000? You have to be kidding me.
I'm not kidding. In big cities in China, like Beijing for instance, they hold lotteries to get license plates because the city limits the number of car plates to reduce traffic and pollution. In the June 2016 lottery, 2.7 million people applied for a plate, and only 1 in 725 got one.
Wow.
Beijing has 21 million people driving 5.6 million cars, and that's double what there was just 10 years ago.
And 30% of the city's pollution comes from car exhaust. Traffic jams like this one in Beijing in 2015 are common.
Beijing wants to keep the number of cars to under 6.3 million by the end of 2020. To do this will make it even harder going forward to get a license plate.
But a free parking spot? Come on, what can that be worth?
Well, in Beijing, for example, every 10 households share only 3 to 5 parking spots. Look at this chart of road density. Parking spaces are at a premium. In fact, parking spots in Beijing are selling for over $100,000.
Wow! So with battery prices dropping, ranges going up, and the fact that EVs don't pollute, I can see why China would like EVs. But are they selling well?
Yeah. In 2016, China doubled its fleet of electric cars to now more than 645,000.
Wow! To put that in perspective, Europe has 637,000 and the US has 570,000 as of December 2016. With more than 2.5 million EVs sold so far in the world, China alone makes up a quarter of the world's EV market.
China has over 60 EV models available, and 13 of those have sold more than 10,000 units in 2016.
To put that in perspective, only 5 models sold over 10,000 units in the US in 2016. Tesla's Model S and X, Chevy Volt, Ford Fusion Energy, and the Nissan Leaf.
The number 1 selling EV in China is the EU260, a 4-door, front-wheel drive sedan made by BAIC, which is a state-owned automaker.
The EU260 costs about $37,000 before incentives, and it sold about 20,000 units in 2016.
After incentives, the price comes in at around $22,000. It's equipped with a 41 kilowatt-hour battery pack for about 160 miles of range.
Now close behind is the number 2 selling EV, the E6 by BYD, which is probably the most well-known Chinese automaker here in the United States because Warren Buffett has invested heavily in the company.
The E6 had a 60 kilowatt-hour battery pack with a range of 186 miles, but that was updated in 2016 to 82 kilowatt-hour battery pack with a range of 250 miles.
Sales were just below 20,000 in 2016 at a price with incentives that can come in below $30,000.
The third best-selling EV in China in 2016 was the Geely Emgrand EV.
Now, Geely is probably the next best-known Chinese auto brand in the US since they have bought out Volvo.
So Geely makes a gas-powered version of this car, but this was the first full year of production for the EV version.
It has a 45 kilowatt-hour battery pack with 157 miles of range, and they delivered 12,000 units in 2016.
Now, Tesla's been making cars in California and selling them in China since 2013. In fact, in 2016, Tesla sold an estimated 10,000 cars in China.
But until now, Chinese laws have stipulated that foreign car manufacturers would have to partner with a Chinese company if they want to make cars in China.
Just last month, China announced that it's considering relaxing that law for companies producing new energy vehicles, aka EVs, so that companies like Tesla can set up factories and produce cars in China for the Chinese market.
China is doing this because it has the goal of having 5 million EVs on the roads in China by 2020.
We know that Tesla was already about to partner with the Chinese company to start work on a factory last year, and it appears that Tesla has held off and is waiting for these new rules to be implemented so that it can start making cars in China.
This could be huge news. If Tesla can build their cars right in China, it will reduce shipping costs, eliminate foreign taxes, and could mean that soon Tesla will dominate the EV market in China, especially when the Model 3 comes out.
As you can see, it's important not to overlook the Chinese market when talking about EVs.
It's exciting to see that China realizes the benefits of EVs and is offering such incentives.
We'll continue to cover the progress of EVs in China.
Please subscribe and hit the like button to help share this important EV news.
And remember to watch our weekly Tesla Time news shows that come out every Tuesday here on Now You Know.
As always, thank you to our Patreon patrons who helped to make this channel possible. We couldn't do it without you. Please consider supporting us on Patreon.
We covered just the top 3 selling EVs in China, but there are tons more. So if you know of a cool Chinese EV, please let us know in the comments below. We love to get comments and to stay in touch with you that way.
Thank you so much for watching. Now you know.